Hey y'all, it's Leah from the Oppenheimer Ranch Project. It is a beautiful fall day. We just had a nice good bit of rain, over a ½ inch overnight. I have not uploaded a video in ages and ages. I am way overdue on updates on the chickens. I have some other videos waiting in the wings to be edited. But I am filming right now because very exciting that we have new baby chicks. So let's check them out. So I'm actually at my house down the road. I'm not at the ranch, and I've got this brooder set up in the garage with all of these chickies in here. Look at all these chickies. So I picked these guys and gals up this morning from the post office. If you're not aware about how this works, you can order chicks in the mail from a hatchery. These guys were in the mail for 2 days, and that's about the limit of how long they can be in the mail. The only reason that this works is two things. You can pack chicks in pretty tight into a box, and that helps keep them warm. In fact, I still have the box, so give you an idea what that looks like. So these guys came in a box like this. It has 4 separate sections, and they're sort of divided up by breed, but they stay relatively warm that way. And the other reason that it works is that newly hatched chicks actually live off of yolk for the first day or two. Granted, these guys were pretty hungry and thirsty when they arrived. And I did have 2 losses, two chicks that were dead on arrival, and I had another one that passed away probably a couple hours after I picked them up. That's totally normal. Not all chicks make it. Something like, you can expect up to 5% of chicks dying in the first 7 weeks. In any case, I have this brooder right now set up into 2 different sections because some of these birds are actually for our friends down the road. So this is their little section here. And well, let me take this cover off and we can talk about the chicks a little bit. Hang on one sec. So here we are with the smaller group of birds. Everybody's pretty active and happy. Chicks do sleep a lot, so no surprise when you see them laying down just snoozing. Sometimes they almost seem like they're dead and they'll let other chicks walk on them, but they do sleep a lot. So you can always tap one a little bit and see that they get up and they're still active. But it's also better to let them sleep. The main thing with chicks for their health is to really reduce their stress. Because the stress impacts their immune systems. Humans are the same way. When we get stressed out, our immune systems do not function as well. So it's pretty important for chicks, in order for them to be healthy and resilient, to kind of try to reduce the stress that they experience as much as possible. That's also true of adult birds. In any case, in here, well, speaking of stress, chicks are sort of programmed to see danger coming from above. So in a setting like this, where, there's a big wall and they can't necessarily see me coming, it's a good idea to talk to your chicks as you approach, because you're going to be coming in from the top, and that can be a little scary for them. And it's also good to handle chicks a lot, because it gets them used to being handled in general. So let's see who we got in here. We have Buff Orpingtons. So this is a little Buff Orpington. So we can get you actually in front of the camera. It's not really a good image there. In any case, it's a very light, buff-looking chick. And we've got in here little Rhode Island Reds. Pardon my fingers in front of the lens. See if I can get a better view here. Why don't you stay up here? There we go. Rhode Island Red. Little Rhode Island Red. Oh, there we go. The camera focusing. And this is a silver-laced Wyandotte. Oh, don't jump down. There we go. There's a little silver-laced Wyandotte. Hi, cute little guy. These guys are about 2 days old, by the way. And this, oops. Let's try a different guy. This is a Plymouth Barred Rock, and this is actually going to be a rooster. This is a male. Now, it can be really hard sometimes to tell apart different breeds of chicks as well as the sexes. Now, a Plymouth Barred Rock, let's see if I can get this guy. A Plymouth Barred Rock has this white dot on their heads. To be quite honest with you, I don't remember off the top of my head what a female Plymouth Barred Rock chick looks like. But that dot makes this particular breed fairly easy to sex. Some breeds are impossible to sex just by exterior physical markings. There is some microscopic way of determining which is which, but that's something that requires a bunch of training, and you really can't tell just by looking at these guys. So there are some breeds that are, they were actually bred to have different markings between the sexes to make it easier to sex. If you've ever heard of, for example, a sex-link chicken, that is a chicken that has been bred that way to make it easy to determine which gender is which. I was laughing at my phrase, which gender is which are male and which are female, and then I got distracted by something, so I stopped my video. In any case, so over here in the big section, we have, I think, 5 different breeds. So these little, oh gosh, fingers. These little light-colored chicks, they look a lot like the Buff Orpingtons, but if you look at their little legs, if I can get the camera to focus, they have feathers on their legs. So these are, again, the Salmon Faverolles, if I didn't already say that. New breed for me. I'm excited to try them. I only got 6. I got a straight run, which means I got both males and females, so hopefully it's about 50-50. I am told that they're excellent eating, so that may be the destiny of the males. So we'll see. You sweet. And calm. Look at you. I have no idea how you tell these apart, male to female. I have another breed in here that has feathered legs. If I can find them. Oops, somebody just pooped in my hand. Oop. Let's see. I have Brahmas in here. Dark Brahmas. See if I can find one. A lot of these are a little hard to tell apart. I think this is one. Hi. I think this is a dark Brahma. Hey, look at the camera. Hi. Okay, I'm going to put you down. I also have in here speckled Sussex. Oh, I didn't even check for feathered legs on my Brahma. Here we go. Here's one. So here's a dark Brahma. Yeah, that's right. And hopefully you can, I guess you can't really see there. That's a little hard to see. Anyway, this guy has feathered legs as well. That's a nice feature, by the way, for cold weather climates, because it means that their feet can stay a little warmer when they're adults in the winter, sitting on a perch overnight. It can be, feathered legs can be an issue if it's real muddy where you are, because those feathers are just constantly getting gunked up with mud, but even when it's muddy, I've never noticed it be too much of a problem with feathered leg breeds. By the way, feathered legs in chickens or any bird is called pants, which I think is really cute. Anyway, so we also have in here speckled Sussex chicks, blue-laced red Wyandottes. I'm a big fan of Wyandottes. And I said Brahmas, salmon faveroles, and Barnevelders, which I'm also very excited about. I'm excited about all of these breeds. I've wanted to try them for quite some time. So I'll do another video about chick care soon, but in general I will talk now about brooder setups. So if you're going to raise chicks without a mama, you need a brooder, some setup kind of like this, some way to contain the birds and to keep them warm. You have a lot of options of things you could use. You could even raise chicks in a cardboard box. They do need enough space and heat and all of that good stuff. I like this kind of setup very much because it's very easy. This is just a big stock tank. And in fact, this stock tank is not going to be big enough. This is my section of birds over here. There's about 50 birds in here. When they get bigger, this is not going to be enough space. So I'm going to get another one of these stock tanks and set it up next to it and just split them up in half, because they need to stay in this brooder for about 8 weeks. These heat lamps are very important because these chicks need to be warm. Right after they're born, they really should be at about 95 degrees. So therefore I have a thermometer in here, which is very difficult to read in the red light because the indicator is also red. But yeah, it's at about 95 degrees, 92 degrees right now, and that's perfect. And then each week you can lower the temperature by 5 degrees until you reach ambient temperature. And as the temperatures get cooler and cooler, your birds will feather out, and those feathers do help keep them warm when they're older. And if you reduce the temperature faster, the birds will actually feather out faster. They do adjust to that. I typically don't do that because I don't see the need. So I have this set up right now with my heat lamps actually hanging from the ceiling. And so the way that I reduce the heat is that I'm just going to raise the level of the heat lamps each week. And I might even take one of the lamps away. I happen to need 3 to get this down up to 95 degrees. And I think it has to do with the height of the stock tank. So this is about 2 feet high. You can hang these heat lamps about 18 inches above the birds. I prefer to keep it above the level of the stock tank. And you saw in the beginning of the video, I have a grate over the top of this stock tank, which serves several purposes. One, if you have other animals around, it keeps them out of the brooder. 2, in the event that one of these heat lamps should fall, it would keep it from falling into the brooder and injuring your birds, starting a fire. These are very, very hot, and so they're not the safest thing in the world, but it is what it is. By the way, these heat lamps also do come with these cages that hook on underneath of the lamp, and that's great. The only reason I don't have them on right now is that I have the lamps set so low and so close to the caging over the top of the brooder that they don't fit. So I will put them on when the lamps are higher. And the last part about why that grate over the top is important is because you would be surprised when chicks get older and they start flying around a little bit, and the way that they can jump. I mean, just as an example, see, I have this divider in here at the moment, and I will still use this divider because it is useful for one aspect of chick care for me. And I've had the experience in the past of chicks being able to jump over the divider, which is pretty funny, although sometimes inconvenient. So the grate on the top is also great from keeping your birds from getting out, or, worst case scenario, hitting one of these heat lamps and getting singed. That would be terrible. So I don't know, I really like this setup. It's very easy. You just buy the stock tank. I have in here, you see that at the bottom I have paper towels. Those paper towels are actually on top of pine litter. But the paper towels are important right now for a couple of reasons. One, these chicks are still getting their sea legs, so to speak, or land legs, I guess I should say. And sorry for the interruption, the memory in my SD card was full. So if the chicks are on a slippery surface, they have a tendency to kind of do like splits, and that can lead to a condition called splayed legs that is a little difficult to get them to recover from. So the paper towels keep them from sliding. They have pretty good traction on that. So I'll keep those paper towels down for about a week, and then I can just pick it all up, and then they will just be in pine litter. The other purpose behind it at this age is just getting them accustomed to eating the food that they're eating, because they'll pick around in the litter, and chicks will, they'll ingest some of it, and they might just fill up on litter and not actually get any nutrition. So you're just kind of preventing them from eating the litter at this young age, so that they're getting the nutrition. And by the time I take up the litter, I take up the paper towels, I could probably do that tomorrow. Everybody knows where the food is, and it won't be an issue. I will keep the paper towels down for another week anyway, just to protect their legs. Let's see, what else? There's all kinds of things. I could talk about chick care for hours, so I'll do another video about that, and you can get an idea about how this all works. Anyway, very exciting. I'm going to put my grate back over the top of this brooder. Oh, by the way, I just happen to have these, this is a recycled material from a really cheap little chicken coop, if you could even call it that. There's a store-bought, pre-manufactured coop, and this was part of the run, and I just happened to have it, and so I decided to use these to cover my brooder. But an option that I've used in the past is to have a big sheet of hardware cloth over the top of the brooder. I bend it over the edges, and I've even at times used heat lamps that I could just clip onto the side, and cut out a little hole for the clamp for that, and that works pretty well also. So that's the brooder setup. One other thing that I like to do is I like to elevate the water just a little bit. I have underneath of it just a cheap Tupperware that I bought at the thrift store filled with rocks so that it's heavy enough. And this sort of keeps the drinkers low enough that the chicks can get to the water, but it also prevents them from pooping in the water so much, because that does happen. It's going to happen anyway, because they're always climbing on top of stuff. Chicks are pretty rambunctious and excitable and chirpy. Man, these guys were so loud at one point this morning that I actually had to put my firearms shooting muffs on because it was hurting my ears. But yeah, I like that elevation. That helps. And as these guys get older, they will be able to knock these over. And my solution for that is to actually wrap the drinkers with wire and attach them to the hardware cloth or the caging up on top, just to keep them from getting tipped over. I don't need to do that right now because they're so small and little, and they're really not capable of knocking these over just now. But anyway, everybody's very busy eating and drinking and sleeping. And one other thing, it's important to observe your chicks and how they're reacting to the heat. If it's too cold, they will all be huddled up and on top of each other, and that can cause them to smother each other, so you don't want that. And also the heat is important for their health. If it's too hot, you will see them gathering at the edges, and that's a really good way to gauge the temperature and whether or not it's good for them. Dropping the temperature 5 degrees each week is really a good guide, but also observe your chicks and see what they're doing and if they're enjoying the heat or not. Like, I got a little pile up over here on a cooler side of the brooder, so I might consider reducing the temperature a smidge, but I'll keep watching and see what they do, if it really seems like they're too hot or what's going on. In any case, those are the chicks on day 2, and I will be back with some other updates. All right, take care. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We love you.